Kojo Oponkwuma is Minister for Information. Now, from challenges in accessing portals to delays in getting a confirmation for their placements into senior high schools, it's been a 2-week roller coaster for BEC graduates, parents and guardians just to get placement. Well, some have even had to travel long distances to sort out the issues with the computerized school selection placement system, CSSPS. They've been left stranded as the Complaints and Solutions Center has failed to attend to them. The pressure and confusion with the process raised serious concerns over the mental state of these graduates, especially for those who are trying for the first time to further their education. There were reports of a graduate committing suicide because he didn't get his preferred choice. Must it be a do-or-die situation just to get further education? Well, how well are we prepared to deal with the young ones who find themselves in this situation, or even their parents? We'll be joined later on the show by a child psychologist to break down for us some of these issues and give parents an advice as to what they can do to support their young ones going through this roller coaster. First though, watch this.
I went to school, I stay in the house. I stay in the school for 2 good months. I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning. I was busy and I had 6, all 6. I chose a holy child and they give it to me. My friend chose that place and I asked her to take pictures of the people who were enrolled in the school. Some of them were having 10, some of them having 14. What's the meaning of all this thing? Me having 6, I didn't get in school. And I'm here suffocating. I almost died over there. What is my fault? Is it my fault that I had 6? It's my fault that I left and had 6. I haven't been there. Look at this place. How can I go there?
We were registered with a particular index number. And we wrote BEC with that index number. When we went to check our results, it came all right. But on the placement, when we checked, they said our index number was wrong.
Okay. And that is for you and the rest of your colleagues. How many are you?
We are 7.
We went on Sunday, and they sacked some of them on Sunday, that very day. Monday, when this early morning, we was going to dine, and they called us that we should come back to the office. When we went, they told us they are bringing a new placement of students in. So those who came on Sunday, we should go back home, and a new placement of students to get in.
Okay, so you were one of those who were there yesterday. So you were even almost settling. You had put everything there, your chop box and everything, only to be told that you should go home.
Yes.
Just see the crowd. Just see the crowd. When am I going to be attended? So it looks like the authorities should do something about this matter. In fact, this system looks like a crap. It should be scrapped.
I went for the placement. I saw it was there. That's what the Kumasi High, with aggregate and everything. They said I should come back to bring the child. I took my son. I was there just to tell me that the system has gone off. How could I? They were going to commit suicide.
At least,
So he says that they've left their homes, their jobs, and they've come here to attempt to find a solution. But it appears nobody is telling them anything.
Few minutes after midday, an announcement. Aggrieved parents were asked to return on Tuesday.
Unfortunately, our problems have not been solved, and then 10 minutes after 12 exactly, we're told that because of circumstances beyond their control, we should leave and then come back tomorrow. Yeah, but I think it's not the best.
We are going to come here tomorrow?
Yeah, hopefully, because we want our problems solved, we have to come here tomorrow. But they've not given us any assurance because of what we are seeing here.
I went there, there's no response. When they said the yellow side is from certain aggregate to certain aggregate. When you go there, when you mention that, they said this is not the place.
St. Tracy's, where you 13. I'm the number 2 West Africa. You're going to press motor. So I'm saying, I just said, bad day, to me, hand diamond. Minis come the behind dying. Yaba free fiada, a Jordan and the Mabes Roman, so I'm finding 12 roses day and mammy.
So Margaret Samponsan says her daughter was placed at West Africa Senior High School in Accra when they live at Akwetia in the eastern region, and so they want a school around Akwetia given to her daughter so that she would be a day student there at least, rather than be a day student at WAS here in Accra, which is far away from where they live.
When I went there, they said we should wait for them to identify whether they are going to give her the green or the gold. Okay. So we have to wait for them to call us. Okay. And that means in this case, we have to wait till they call us. So if they are learning, that means they are learning ahead of them.
Okay, but they didn't give you any indication when they will call you?
No.
Okay, so what was there?
And we wanted to change the school. The school that they gave here is under Canopy, Eastern Region, St. Thomas, which is not good for me to take my word to that place. So I intended that they should give us the second choice, which is Winneba. We went there and the house mistress said we should come for letterhead from the educational office. We went there, they said we go to sports office. We went there, they said we should come to this place. And we came here since last week. From Monday, from there to today. By the time that they finish up this thing, it's almost a time.
So it must be a lot of frustration to have to deal with, even as a JHS leaver. How do you deal with something you probably have never dealt with before? Joining us via Skype is Dr. Emmanuel Sampon. He's a clinical psychologist at the University of Ghana School of Public Health. Sir, thank you very much for your education.
Thanks for having me, Gifty.
So let me start by asking you about what readily comes to mind for you when you see these children in queues, thousands of them in queues? You see them hoping, these are JHS leavers, hoping to go to senior high school. As a clinical psychologist, when you are faced with a sight like this, what usually comes to mind?
So, well, I would say huge disappointments. I mean, a very huge one at that. But let me try and take a look at some historical, perspective of this whole thing. And I guess then people will understand, why I say so. So, I mean, we all know that somewhere in 1987, the government of Ghana adopted this new educational system where, I mean, we're supposed to have 6 years of primary school, 3 years of JS, 3 years of SSS, and then 4 years of university education. Of course, along the line, we realized that at the university, I mean, at the secondary school level, we have had, back and forth, 3 years, 4 years, that kind of thing. Now, the introduction of the computerized school selection and placement system was supposed to, as it were, bring some sanity into the previous manual, selection of students. Now, the idea is that because this thing is highly automated, it is supposed to, as it were, get rid of any human interference. Of course, you would have human beings also doing a few things, but largely you will not have, so many human beings having something to do with this system. And so right from the beginning, this idea of trust, was, as it were, depicted by this system. But unfortunately, that is not what we are seeing. Now, the expectation is that whatever people, whatever choices that they have, they expect that the outcome will match, their choice. But when it turns out that that is not what they are realizing, that is when the disappointment comes in. So, in fact, so I was saying that this disappointment become very huge, and that's how come I said initially that huge disappointment when you trust something and that thing that you trust is actually not giving you what you expect. Let me
even give that to the parent. But let's come to the children. I mean, they have not experienced this before. They finished JHS. These are people like 12, 11, maybe 13, 14, who are willing to continue their education, and that's what we want our children to be doing. Now they get to be able to get into the next step of the academic ladder. They have to go through this. In fact, see some of their colleagues collapsing. For them, won't it be anything more than disappointment for children who are involved in this?
Well, so that's how come I preceded the disappointment with that huge one. And it has manifestations in so many things. So we know, I mean, just like you rightly said, if you look at the age range of these children, I mean, they are predominantly in the adolescence period. Now, for adolescents, they go through certain developmental stages. Now, one key developmental issue for an adolescent is that of achievement. Now, by achievement, they usually would want to see that, if you like, in their scholastic, powers. So, for instance, school achievement, are they doing well? Are they moving on from one level to the other? But unfortunately, that is not what they are seeing. And they are realizing that some of their mates, are in school. And so, regardless of how well their performances were, they are thinking that, some failure is setting in. And that is, I mean, typically will set in this disappointment that will manifest in all kinds of moods. And that's the bit that we need to manage.
We need to manage. Now, the feeling of failure at this age and at this level of education is certainly not something we want our children to have. How can we deal with it? Now, even if they get the school, some of them have been there because they want to change their schools. They are not happy with the school that they got. So you finally, the GES said, if you don't like the school, we can't help you. They're only dealing with people who have, say, a female placed in a male school, for example. Apart from that, if you say you don't want your school, you want to change, they really can't help you. So they have to settle with what they have at the moment. Now, after going through this, you talk about the feeling of failure even before they get into SHS. Yeah. How can the teachers there handle it? How can their parents help them to deal with this?
Yeah, so I can understand, the GES authorities, but be that as it may, I think that sometimes we should be, we need to show, a lot of circumspection when we, as it were, giving information to people. And so to bluntly say that, yes, we cannot help you, there's nothing that we can do for you. In my view, I mean, we could say it in a better way, if you like. Now, for these unfortunate ones, I mean, if I'm allowed to say so, I think that there is a lot of, work that has to be done on them. There is the need for them to, as it were, to really, really be oriented well. By that orientation, an attempt should be made at revising their expectations, because whatever it was that they were expecting has not been realized. And the thinking is that how well are we able to revise that expectation to instill that sense of optimism in them? Because for some of them, this thing will make them, go through all the, the moods that are associated with disappointment. And if we are not able to reverse that, then, I mean, going forward, it's really not going to help them. So my thinking is that we should try, make these children, know that they can hold on, and it is not all that bad. Of course, in as much as teachers are doing their bit, I think that parents should also try and encourage them. I mean, it is not all lost. When one disappointment comes, it does not mean that that is the end of the world. They just need to imbibe that optimism spirit, and I think that, I mean, they definitely should be able to overcome this difficulty.
Give them optimism. Doc, I'll have you hold on for me because I'm going to go to the Black Star Square where we talk to some of them who are still queued up there hoping to have their problems resolved. Ifwa Evans Chinwe is our lady on the ground. Hello, Ifwa. Tell us, how is the atmosphere there now? We are told that the situation is getting better. The backlog is being cleared gradually. But for the young people there, do they feel any better from how they felt on Monday?
Gifty, unlike the previous days where a lot of people gathered here to check the placement of the awards in senior high schools, today is very different. It's a lot calmer. Things are moving on smoothly. People, basically, like a few people, I could count over 100 people here, and things are moving on smoothly. But I have with me here the press secretary to the minister, and he will tell us more. His name is Rodney Nkrumah-Boateng. Yes, Rodney, you described the previous days as crazy days.
It's crazy, like completely like
but describe to us, how has it been?
It's been much calmer and much less stressful over the past couple of days. Under the minister's direction, what we have had to do, we've taken a number of strategies. You recall that there was a computer glitch that enabled certain students who had not been placed at all, 22,000 of them who had not been placed, to be able to go into a self-portal and place themselves when on the ground there was no capacity in the schools. And that led to some difficulties because these parents then went to the schools and they were told that there were no places for them and they were not in the system, which of course caused a lot of anxiety, and that accounted in part for the massing up of quite a number of them here. That situation has been reversed. We made available the list of schools that still had space on them, pasted them on the walls. We set up 4 tables behind me here under the arch, and then more tables on both wings. And both wings got in national service personnel to just take people's details. And because beyond self-placement, there were other issues that people had. People wanted to change their schools from day to boarding. They wanted to change schools. They wanted to change programs. Quite a number of them due to a number of reasons. And so what we've been trying to do as much as possible to take people's data and then pass it on to the placement center, and then they can see what they can do to assist them.
It's the same issue today. I mean, I spoke to a few of them who were saying that the awards got aggregate 17, 18, 19, who got some of the first class senior high schools in the country, but they still want them to, go to those schools.
The difficulty, you see, is that the first class schools understandably are very competitive. A program like general science is also very competitive, and boarding status is also competitive. And so inevitably the aggregate 6s get first chance in, and even then you may in some schools have more aggregate 6 students than the spaces available for that particular program. And then you have a ranking system where the 9-1s get in first, and then it works its way down. So someone would have an aggregate 6 with 9-1s, or aggregate 6 with 6-1s, and then the 9-1s will get in earlier than the 6-1s. So if you're talking about 17 with 17 or 18, you're quite completely out of the loop. And then because there's a lot of competition, those who miss out narrowly end up in the popular second choice schools like Ghana National, Agri, Manfi Methodist. And so that person who has 17 still then has to compete with these people. And so eventually they get bumped up, and if they're not lucky, then they get completely thrown out and they go to school at all. And so even though 17 is okay, it is unfortunately not enough to get into some of the first class schools, because even some 6s and 7s are missing out, because there's a limit to what the schools can take.
Thank you very much, Rodney Nkrumah-Boateng. Rodney Nkrumah-Boateng is the press secretary to the Education Minister Gifty. He's been explaining to us what's been happening in the last 3 days.
I'm going to come back to you, and this time we want to talk to the young people who are still there, provided they are not so busy with the registration and would like to talk to us about how they feel going through what they've been through since Monday. We'll find out from them whether it's any better than what they've experienced so far. But Dot, I'm coming back to you as well. Now, we can talk about their parents. We've been told that everybody sees their parents as a hero. So you see your father and you think that your father is able to do everything in the world as a child. That's how, at least that's how you grow up to become. Now you bring your father or your mother bring you to this place hoping to solve the problem for you. You have all the confidence in them. You go with them and you see them, you see how helpless your hero is. In this situation, your hero is sleeping on the floor with you, mosquitoes are biting them, and they can't do anything about the situation. Would this usually take a toll on the development of this child or this young person?
Well, for that particular moment, I mean, parents, because of the way they are looked at, they will feel guilty, because they were supposed to, as it were, be able to help the situation, but unfortunately, they are not able to do much. The children are also blaming the parents. I mean, so yes, whereas you have parents feeling guilty, children are also blaming them. They possibly may not be able to voice it out, but of course, in their minds, my father, my mother possibly should have been able to do this thing for me. But, I mean, there's nothing being done. And so if we are not even careful, it kind of like brings, some tensions, between parents and their children. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm saying that it's always important that we need to assure, parents, we need to assure the children especially, and make them know that, yes, things will turn out, for the better. And so listening to, the PRO from the ministry, yes, that's, plans are being put in place, things are being done. It's good, but it is not enough, for these plans to only be done. It actually must be seen to be done. And in doing so, my thinking is that, when we find ourselves in a crisis situation like that, then it's always important for us to have, short, if you like, intervals briefing kind of, so that people, are given information, at short intervals. So we know at any point in time that these are the kinds of things that are being done. But if we wait when things would have gone very messy, and then we try to, as it were, come to talk about things that are being done to remedy the situation, it usually doesn't help. So going forward, I think there's a lot that we can learn from this, whatever has happened. I mean, last year there were reports like that. This year, and so as a people, let's try and be more proactive. Rather than to wait when some of these things happen. Then, because in the heat of it, a lot of the decisions that we take usually do not go well.
And what would you advise the parents to do? I mean, if I have a child, I don't want them losing confidence in me. I don't want them feeling that I am helpless. I don't want them thinking that I can't help them when they need support. So in this case, as a parent, what do I do?
Yeah, so this is what I mentioned, that assurance, and also, if you like, trying to let a child know that, well, it's not your fault. You've gotten the grade that should take you to whatever school that you want. But I mean, maybe certain difficulties. It is just a matter of trying to explain the exigencies of the time to
the children.
Children want to be given explanation, when things are happening. It is not enough to just say that, well, I haven't been able to, as it were, get your choice for you. Why is that not happening? If the whys are usually brought out and made clear to the children, they usually will understand. Let's not forget, these are adolescents who have gotten to a point where they can also reason. Yeah. And so sometimes if you are able to reason at their level, yes, you should be able to get things settled, to a very large extent.
Reasoning at their level. You spoke about how information should be disseminated in a way that it gives assurance rather than dismissive, for lack of a better phrase. But yesterday, the education minister indicated on our sister station that some of those who were seen collapsing faked their collapse. At a point, he said that some people were bursed there. So a bit of a political twist to it. What do some of these comments and some of these political twists do to this very important national conversation of education?
Well, so as a psychologist, I'm not sure, I have the medical expertise to be able to determine if somebody has collapsed. I mean, and it's genuine. And so, I mean, how sure are we that something like that happened? Well, are we just looking at that? I mean, the reality is that we have a problem at hand. And that is what, in my view, we should be addressing. And all the other things that are associated with that, let's know that at the end of the day, it's the children who matter. They are the future leaders. And so whatever it is that we are doing now, let's not also forget that we are more or less being seen like the models. Are we going to be good models for them? Well, so it's like answering your question with a question.
I see. Well, I mentioned that as an example of the way that we communicate in these times, as you had indicated earlier. But you are in academia, so it's even all the better that we get this part of the conversation with you as we wrap up. They're going to go to school. To what extent will what they have gone through affect their learning processes? Will it, because for some of them, they're going to a school which they say they don't like, even though it looks like not much can be done about it. For some of them, they feel, like you said earlier on, they are a failure at this level because they've not been able to easily get into the school of their choice, or maybe their first choice. When they get into school, does it have the ability to affect how they learn and how they progress academically, and what can be done in that regard?
So that will largely be dependent on the measures that will be put in place. Of course, we do know that for disappointments, if we don't handle them well, then long term we are looking at some neurological responses, and we don't want to get to that point. So liking, loving, having some affinity for something, these are all tendencies that can be developed. And so initially, yes, we are having people who say they don't like schools giving them, but under the circumstances, if that is what is available, what is it that we can do to, as it were, change their thoughts about, those schools that they have been given? And that's how come I'm saying that we cannot say that we are done just, after ensuring that they've gone to the schools. We really would have to, put in some programs, difficult as it may be, to really orient these children. Because again, we want them to excel and to do well. And for somebody to excel, you want the person to be emotionally stable, to be in that right mental frame, so that at least whatever is taught can be understood.
Emotional stability. Very interesting conversation we've had. I hope that if parents are watching, parents who have had to endure this situation are watching, that they'll have picked up a thing or two which will guide them with their words as we go along. Doc, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Dr. Emmanuel Asampong, he's a senior lecturer at the School of Public Health, University of Ghana, helping us to understand what goes on in the mind of a young person who has had to endure the situation at the Black Star Square. He speaks about the way that we communicate in times like these. It should be a way that gives the young people an assurance that this is not a failure, and that if you don't get it at this point, you can still get it at the next point, and how we should manage the disappointment they have had to feel. In the meantime, the Ghana Education Service is assuring the hundreds of the junior high school leavers who have had challenges with their placement that their issues will all be resolved by Friday. That's 2 days from now. The Director General, Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa, says that with the exception of those who want to change their schools or residential status, those others with other problems would be resolved. Out of the 122,000 students who had challenges with the self-placement system, over 80,000 have so far been placed.
The issues that we have here are just about 2 or 3. There are people who have done automatic self-placement. We did the automatic placement for them. And they are people who selected their own schools, 5 choices, and we've placed them in one of them. But for most of them, they want to come around and then see if they could change, because maybe they didn't get their first choice or they didn't get their second choice. But at least they had one of their choices. Okay. Now, for them, what we are saying is that once it is your own choice, you cannot change. Now, then we have those who come in here who say, I am day, but I want to do boarding. What we're saying is that you can't change. If for any reason we will change for you, then we are going to give you a comparable school in the area where you live, so that you still go and do your day. Okay. Now, then the next group of students or candidates and applicants that we have here are those who are supposed to do their self-placement. For self-placement, you really does not need to come here to do self-placement, because the machine on which you realize that you have not been placed, when you go back on that same machine, you can do your self-placement. Okay. So you don't really need to come here. But if you come in here, we'll give you the list of schools that you can select from, and then we expect that they go back, look for a computer and then internet, and then do that self-placement. So those are the issues. Now, yesterday, I believe we had the situation that we had yesterday because we did not work here on Monday, on Saturday and Sunday. So being the first day of the week, we expected a lot of people to come around, to come and see what was going on and how they could get their attention. Now today, from the experience of yesterday, we were going to close the place up. But when we came here in the morning, we realized that people had already come to sleep here and are queuing and things like that. So what we've done is that, just as I said, we have put them in the problem areas or the issue areas. So if you look up there, it's one issue. If you look here, there's one issue here. There's another group in that order. So based on the issue that you are bringing, you go to the various places. And I think now everything is working. And we are thankful that it is working. They have listened to us. But let me also put it on record that we need to acknowledge the eagerness and the enthusiasm for people to want to be part of the system. Everybody wants to take advantage of the president's free SHS program, and that is also some of the reasons why you see people thronging here to make sure that they get schools. We are not changing schools. It is part of your selection, which you did yourself. If for any reason you want to change from day to a boarding school, it won't happen. But if you want to change from day to day, then we could get you to a closer place. If, for example, you've chosen a day school in Volta region, and you want a day school in Eastern region, that one, when you get to them, they will note it down, and then we'll get you a closer school, a school that is closer to you, that you can still do your day as is required.
Okay, just before I let you go, I've spoken to some of the people who have gone through this procedure and are leaving. They say they've been asked to expect a phone call by Friday to know which of the schools exactly their wards are going. What if they do not get their phone calls? Some of them seem unsure.
They will get it before Friday, on or before Friday. As we speak now, the 122,000 who were supposed to do self-placement, we have less than 40,000 now who have not done self-placement. So in spite of all the issues that we are talking about, a lot of people are doing the self-placement and they are on it. So I believe that by Friday, as we're saying, probably the numbers may have come down to maybe 20,000 or even.
So that's the Director General of the GES speaking to Komla Adom yesterday. Let's go back on the ground. Efwa is still a woman on the ground. Hello, Efwa.
Yes, right. Student at the Independence Square. I'm going to ask him a few questions concerning what's been happening. I have with me here one of the students who's going to tell me what's been happening here today. Your name is Edmund, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you said that you got aggregate 21.
Yeah.
Okay. So you strongly believe that you're going to get, you said your first choice was?
Achimota.
Achimota School?
Yeah.
So you strongly believe that you're going to get Achimota School?
No, I don't really believe I'm going to get Achimota, but I believe I'm going to get a school.
Okay. Okay. And what was your second choice?
Was Ghana National.
Ghana National College. And a third choice?
My third choice was Winneba.
Winneba Senior High School. Right. I'm sure that you watched TV a few days ago, what's been happening here. What do you make of it?
I think that the parents should relax, because I'm sure that everyone here is going to get a school.
You're sure that everybody's going to get a school?
Yes.
So parents should relax?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Before Evans Chinwe there, we'll try and speak to most of the children there, find out their own level of disappointment. What is it that's going through their minds and at this point? But at least this gentleman sounds hopeful that everybody there, not just him, everybody there will get a school, which is a good thing. So hopefully we'll get to that. We'll get to that with some more positive responses. Now, Education Minister Matthew Poku-Prempeh is this afternoon under pressure to resign. It follows claims yesterday on Asempa FM that some of those who collapsed during the chaotic school placement exercise at the Black Star Square yesterday, since Monday, faked their collapse. He also alleges that the NDC and its flag bearer John Mahama had based a vast majority of those who thronged the Solution Center. Listen.
Remember me home 85.
85. The SEO Independence Square in Echi.
Obi, the SEO Independence Kwabrani and the Jessica didn't go for good bus for Bessa.
Independence Square.
Independence Square.
Obi didn't go for good bus. How?
So we may travel to my sister station, no broadcasting. But I don't say you want to.
But that's a serious allegation.
I'm telling you, Kwabrani and the Jessica say.
Kwabrani Bain no.
Oh, Ghana and the infant no mayor president. Because Ghana and she and the president of Pedi, Yin, non Kwamedi.
And
everybody will be everybody in the Canada and Ghana.
And only the Minister of Education, Ghana.
The big canon. So, Obomohono, baby, you don't go back to so amazing.
No, but the point is, Omu Ababi Guhua, Obi Neba, Bema, Yamane Girls School, Obi Oba, Yamane Boys School, Obi say,
Obi,
of our board in Yamane Day. Are those not genuine concerns?
Obi, computer did a castle will be a Bema, and I will be Oba. I have 4 money per coffee layer, and then per croy mistake. So, if a computer is gibberish out.
Yes.
School placement could get information from Waik. Fred Waik, so we can notice errors. Obi was our problem, Libya. You be the Hojuma. And you want to trace your honor. Over trace your we deeper 100 bia and more at your canoe. Over your school. Na pay school na umanyano. Over your program, na pay program no umanyano. O to su day the day na man. And so say the upper body.
Nadjin assessor. And it cannot be so be na shada aswan wa begu so omanya de omoye no. They have consent.
They say nipa bebre wo muswa ya bobu pass obey de omoye.
Enti ye nim say social statistics na said ye waka no nipa bebre na enya placement and almost your mompe. Omaba be go Independence Square. How that whole thing was managed, especially Enra, to the extent that you say manphobe, trashy, and all of that, no, was it pleasant? Say, Uti ministry na Uti report na when ije.
TV now. I just there effort. Name so nim the body for be so ya. See, I shadow. Last year, Independence on there. We be see. So because I do body when you body for be through Chroma, oh, Timasi.
That's the Education Minister there, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, speaking on our sister station, Asempa FM, with Obi there. And in that conversation, like you heard in the intro, he speaks about how people have been bussed to the Black Star Square and how he believes that some of those who were collapsing were actually fake. Well, there's a statement this afternoon. It's been issued by the NDC. They're issuing a 24-hour ultimatum to Mr. Opoku Prempeh to apologize, failing which he must be dismissed. We can speak to the National Communications Officer of the NDC who signed the statement, Samit Jemfi. Mr. Jemfi, thank you for your time this afternoon. Hello, Mr. Jemfi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks
Very well. Thanks for your time this afternoon. And you've had the explanation, or if you like, or his thoughts, the minister's thoughts about what happened on Monday. He says he's actually alleging that your flag bearer bussed people to the Independence Square or the Black Star Square.
Gifty, let me say that, first of all, that allegation is totally baseless, reckless, it is preposterous, and it is disgraceful. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Ghana's Minister of Education, knows that there is no truth in that allegation, and that it is contrived just to shift the blame and to more or less hold President Mahama responsible for a mess created by himself and the people that he presides over at the Ministry of Education. And that is why we have taken a serious view of this allegation, because we think that the penchant or the habit of the NPP to persistently blame everything, continuously blame their failings on President Mahama and the NDC with a hope that will address the woes of Ghanaians, must be checked. We must not tolerate that at all. Matthew Opok knows that the embarrassing spectacle that most parents and their wards have had to go through at the Blaster Square is as a result of the mismanagement of this year's computerized school selection and placement process by the Akufo-Addo government. President Mahama, when he was in office, invested so much in the system. We upgraded it and ensured that GES staff who were responsible for it were trained to be able to, manage it successfully. When they assumed office, they continued with the software which they inherited from us for 2 years, 2017 and 2018, and boasted about the success of those, processes.
So, Mr. Jeffrey, let me come to you with this point that he makes in the conversation that he had with Obi. He says that you and your party are seeking to make political point, to score political point out of what is seen as a national issue, a national crisis. I mean, young people going to school, and you're seeking to make political capital out of it.
I don't understand. The students and parents who have thronged the Blaster Square to seek redress for their genuine concerns. Is Napo saying that they are all members of the NDC? Or the many critical voices who have expressed disgust over this embarrassing spectacle? Is Napo saying that they are all members of the NDC? People in academia, people in the media, people who belong to various political parties have all spoken against, this embarrassing spectacle, which is obviously a product of the cluelessness and incompetence of the Minister of Education and the leadership paralysis which has plagued almost every sector of the nation under the watch of President Akufo-Addo. Now, back to the point I was making. I was saying that we invested in this computerized placement system. We trained the people who ran it. When the NPP came, they continued with it for 2 years, and everything was smooth. Until very recently, they decided to play politics with the system. They moved the placement secretariat to the free SHS secretariat. They changed and replaced the competent, trained staff of the Ghana Education Service, and they replaced them with political apparatus of the NPP. For some inexplicable reasons also, only 3 months ago, they introduced a new software which has not been piloted.
Well, yesterday I spoke to the GES. Mr. Jeffrey, yesterday I spoke to the GES about this concern that you're raising. And what she said was that there is a need to always upgrade softwares. And that's the explanation they got. But quickly to the point you make in the statement that you released this afternoon.
The software we are talking about is not an upgraded software. It is a new software.
Very well. You want Dr. Poku Prempeh Matthew Poku Prempeh to be dismissed, you say?
What we are saying is that, if he's a man of conscience, then he himself will know that he owes President Mahama and the good people of this country an unqualified apology and a retraction of that despicable statement, which is an insult to the intelligence of Ghanaians. It is not rocket science to know that if you take a ridiculous decision of centralizing the Complaints and Solutions Center for this placement process in the capital city of Accra, and have a situation where those affected, those who have issues, would have to travel far distances to the capital center just to seek solutions. You are going to create the mess we saw at the Black Star Square on Monday and on Tuesday. And Mr. Lapo must know that this problem is his own creation. The least he can do is to accept responsibility, show some remorse, apologize for his own failures, his own incompetence, and put appropriate measures in place to salvage the situation and to forestall the future occurrence of such a situation.
You've given him 24
of always shifting blame.
You've given him 24
and
hours.
Accusing political opponents for their failing.
Mr. Jeffrey, you've given him 24 hours to apologize or be sacked. Does it mean, is it an end or as in, does it mean that if he apologizes, you're fine? But if he doesn't apologize,
expect from him
Say again, I lost you. Say again.
Hello?
Yes, say again. Are you saying that if he apologizes, then it's okay, he stays on and then he works this out? If he doesn't apologize...
No, if he apologizes and retracts for that, I mean, we will allow sleeping dogs
and if he doesn't?
to lie. But if he fails to apologize, then he will be projecting himself as a very arrogant, disrespectful, person who is not fit to hold any public office and to be paid by the taxpayer. And we would then expect President Akufo-Addo, if he's indeed serious about the governance of this country and has a modicum of respect for the people of this country, we will expect him to give him a sack, because that is what public officers who show such disrespect to the people, deserve.
Mr. Jeffy, thank you very much for your time. This afternoon. Looks like we actually lost him as well, but thank you. Sami Jemfi is the National Communications Officer for the NDC. They're asking for a dismissal of the Education Minister. He's actually saying that they're giving him an ultimatum to apologize to the people of Ghana, and if that is not done, they expect that the president will sack him from his position. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty and Apia.